This isn't over, and sadly, it's likely to get worse before it gets better. We can't change what's happening, only adapt to it. Share today by Crypto Capo. We are in the midst of World War III fear. Israel versus Iran, Ukraine versus Russia. What is happening with this world? Imagine China invades Taiwan tomorrow. And still, I won't stop about talking the only meme coin Hedge out there at this stage against war and against the whole situation. And I will explain you today why. Why exactly he on Ethereum is the perfect hedge against World War III. I will give you a step-by-step clear thought process so you would understand fully why is it so and why there is so much upside, because something that you would actually will be able to figure out today, others will only be able to figure out in the future, in several days from now, in several weeks from now, in several months from now, which will result in them buying after you, which would mean that you would get these juicy access and juicy gains, most likely use them eventually as exit liquidity. Finalizing the thesis for year on Ethereum, the Pepe rival, same as Doge and Shiba the last cycle, and seeing what can actually be achieved, what can actually happen, might be one of the most important videos you would actually be watching this week. Make sure to watch till the end. Gold nuggets of value are always there. Let's start. The question that most of you probably have right away is, Stan, be pumped to 2.5x from the previous video, but why you continue talking about it? Isn't it too high already? Maybe the market cap is too high and people are already taking profits. Maybe you have sold everything that you got and you're not holding any yet at this stage. Why you are still pushing us into buying this at this stage? It's probably already too late. Something I would want you to focus on is not the market cap. I want you to focus on the amount of liquidity. $253,000 at the time of me recording the previous video. Right now, 387. We can do quick math because I will teach you here how to look into on-chain assets properly from someone who was looking into them in summer of 2023, making millions as the result. So what we're doing currently, we're extracting from 387, which is the current liquidity of the coin. We're extracting 253, which was liquidity of the coin 3 days ago when I was essentially making this video. What we would essentially get is $133,000 in new liquidity that was added into the coin at this stage. First of all, you should divide it by 2 right away, mainly because half of this liquidity is in real Ethereum, US dollars, you might say. Half of that liquidity is in the token of the project. So it's not real liquidity that essentially was added, right? You get a number of $67,000 that were essentially added in the last several days into this coin. So following these quick calculations, we figure out that only $67,000 worth of Ethereum was added into Ethereum. That's around 30, I think 25 Ethereum at this stage. This is something that was added in the last 3 days. What happened to the price of the coin? It pumped to 2.5x, almost 3x from these levels. Yeah, I think actually it was a 3x. Since the bottom till the exact local top thus far, it was a 3x just from $67,000 of Ethereum added into the coin. I want you to focus on something I'm sharing here. This is not your bread on base. This is not your boba out there. This is not your high, thick liquidity coins. If you would get this liquidity into Pepe at this stage, nothing will happen. If you would get this liquidity into something like ticker Bitcoin at this stage, nothing would happen as well. It's not about the coin. It's not about the market cap. I want you to see that. It's about having a nice entry on the chart and understanding the upside potential of the asset that you are holding. I told you in the previous video, right now I'm proving this to you. This thing is crazy. The ratio between liquid market cap is crazy. It's the best for the bull case, bull market setup. And it's very interesting because it was created more than 2 years ago. Meta back then was actually to create thick liquidity coins. Things like Boba, for example, right? It's very, very interesting why this coin was created in a way to adhere to the current meta that is present on the marketplace with the meme coins. It's very, very interesting, very, very insane. But we will also cover some other things that actually happened back then. More than 760 days ago, HTX exchange, Huobi, was actually somehow interacting with Yi on Ethereum. It's very interesting. We'll go through this information as well. I have the chart for you at this stage. I essentially outlined 3 main support areas as I'm seeing at this stage. Somewhere around 5.5 million, somewhere around 4.3 million, and somewhere around $2.5 million at this stage. And I have 2 main scenarios, which I think are quite obvious to see at this chart. One, we're just going to the new all-time high. And by the way, this is also one of the reasons of why I'm so confident on telling you about this coin again. Because from my point of view, the movement that we've just seen, these type of movements, they're not movements just for lulz. They're not like complacency shoulders to correct previous pumpage and things like that. These movements, they show demand in the marketplace. This movement happened after double bottom right here. We touched this thing straight here. You had your chances to essentially be buying here. From my point of view, this movement is actually the start of the new move, the start of the new structure. And something I would essentially be seeing here is at least 3 wave move similar to the Elliott wave theory out there. I would argue that something we essentially have seen here in this local move is wave number 1. We would see a certain correction, but then we'll be exposed to wave number 2, which is usually providing the highest percentage gain out there. Rounding up with the wave number 5, which would essentially put us probably at the new all-time highs. Because the main reason I'm sharing something like this at this stage, and I'm talking about this coin still, is because I do think we're going to new all-time highs, which gives me confidence, because even if you would be buying at this stage, you would still be getting at least a 2x. That's conservative. I would say that the top for wave 2, which is an ascending wave 3, should be somewhere around new all-time highs. After that, we would correct, and after that, I would expect to retest and to go slightly above. So I think you're quite safe at this stage if you're entering, but you obviously probably want to have the best possible entry points out there. So I will give you them. I do believe that something that might be happening around $5.5 million is the formation of the double bottom-like pattern, similar to this one that we essentially have seen. We might essentially be going slightly lower. I would say the best area for accumulation at these levels is somewhere here between 4.3 million and 5.5 million out there. From here, I would expect the expansion to new all-time highs. We obviously have a situation number 2 where we just go down, we have the last complacency shoulder, and we just die out right after. At this stage, I do not think so, and I do not plan for that as well. After 2 weeks, Hedge has perfectly held and accumulated above the 2.5 million level. Now this applies in stronger diamond hands. This is something I've been telling you in a bunch of videos in the last year. Essentially, what we need when the coin is going up is the change of hands. New holders are entering. All the holders that were buying at like 300k market cap, they are exiting. New holders, they tend to hold for longer because they just need high market caps in order to receive the same amount of multipliers, the same amount of access that early holders essentially were receiving. I expect some consolidation slightly above 5 million before the next major leg up toward $20 million market cap. 7 million market cap, that's just 0.7% of the target reached. That's pretty interesting because this guy essentially sets $1 billion market cap as the target. And it's pretty interesting because if you would compare it to the memes that are available out there, like they need giant amount of liquidity in order to actually be reaching $1 billion in market cap. This thing, it does not. It does not. Like as soon as we are at $2 million in liquidity, Indian Blast with $2 million of liquidity was at $10 million in market cap. Yi with $2 million of liquidity will probably be 50 million plus in market cap, which is almost a 10x from here. Yi had been Pepe's rival before crypto was even a thing. Yi is actually a pre-narrative meta, whereas 99.99999% of tokens are post-narrative. This is the point. Yeah, guys, I do believe you should see a look at these things as at fine art. Fine art. There is no narrative like this out there. There is nothing comparing out there. And I would share some very, very interesting things. Maybe I can actually share them currently. Eric Cryptoman, CC8 Zeus looking like the strongest coin on the entire Ethereum blockchain today during some tragic on-chain conditions. Pepe's dog going to rip so much higher when the market settles, resistance is weak. To be honest, I do think that you watching and the whole market is kind of tired from all these Pepe beta plays out there. We have Pepe Dogs, we have Brad, we have Andy, we have Boys Club, we have Bobo, we have Fortune Memes Meta. It's all like, in a way, they're all the same. And in a way, all of them, they essentially just sucking liquidity out of each other, right? But what was the narrative of Shiba Inu dog in the last cycle? What was something that was actually able to push the on-chain assets, such as Shiba Inu, to half of Dogecoin market cap, which was $40 billion. What was that? It was a rivalry. No one was screaming about Shiba Inu as a better play to Dogecoin. It was a rival to Dogecoin out there. And that's why people were buying into it essentially, right? And here we have the same situation. There are no pre-narrative, prehistoric Pepe rivals out there. He is one of them. It's a very old coin. It's for more than 2 years plus on this market already available. It's pretty fucking insane if you would ask me. Comment for new all-time high. I'm sharing this here because I also do believe that the type of movement that we've seen, it's not just for lulz. These type of movements should be ending up with at least new all-time highs. Again, this is why I can speak so confidently on this coin. Ascending 3x since support level 0 or billions. And the guy was calling at June 9th and essentially close to the absolute bottom out there. It's very interesting. Gem XBT. One of the reasons I'm showing these guys is because like they have quite a lot of followers, 30k followers, right? This guy has 40k followers. So it's interesting. Like these are the people who are trying to push on Ethereum at this stage. I will show some more guys as well. Gem XBT, account that has 47,000 followers at this stage. Most mentioned ticker in the last hour, Yi. Yi is in a strong uptrend with recent price action above the 5MA, 10MA, and 20MA indicating bullish momentum. The key resistance level is near 0.075, while immediate support is around 0.065. RSI is approaching overbought territory, and MACD shows continued bullish divergence, suggesting potential for further upside, but watch for possible corrections. Very nice. It's either up or down. Thank you. Thank you, AI, for providing this analysis. This one is very interesting. HEX holds Hobby, 2% of your supply, which is actually the top holder. Why not supported BLD? Big potential and strong community. This one is very interesting, and to be honest, I didn't believe it in the first place. I was not understanding what was happening. I thought that maybe just the team just sent the supply to Hobby and that's it. So let's actually figure this out. In order to figure this out, we have to check out the token page on Etherscan and go into holders. First of all, it's quite interesting that Hobby is the biggest holder at this stage, and the biggest holder has only 2% of the tokens out there, which is a very interesting setup. The distribution of this thing is quite nice. You can also check out some good wallets. Bruce Yi, Never Lose. Interesting wallets. It's a very nice type of thing because these are the people that changed the whole identity to the name of the coin out there. Only something like Pepe essentially had people doing something like this. That's a very good sign, to be honest. We do have some whales in the top holders essentially as well. Something interesting is that this Hobby wallet from Hobby Exchange has 2% of Yi. But what is very interesting, what I found very interesting, so it was sent by the deployer of Yi 780 days ago. So you can say that the oldest holder, the oldest and the biggest holder of Yi on Ethereum is actually Hobby Exchange, which is pretty interesting. Like it creates a nice narrative for them to actually publish it, to actually put them on their exchange because they've been holding it for 2 years already. A very interesting thing that I just wanted to share with you guys. He started to take off. Meme coin season incoming. Also, I do believe that these type of candles, they're not appearing just to go down right after. And the accounts, it's very interesting, important. 3k followers, but look at this guy. 47, almost 50,000 followers. Bought some Yi, looks promising. All CTO project, active community, and narrative is very good. I'll pin this tweet because I guess it's a great play. Only $7 million in market cap. Did he really pin it? Wow. That's pretty interesting. ST I actually quite like, but I think it's ST on Arweave. Interesting, because it's quite an active account. He got 14k views. Buying more Yi today seems like more sideways is coming before the next leg up. Videos from 4 years ago about Pepe versus Yi before Pepe was even born as a meme coin. Not as a meme, but as a meme coin. The three ancient legendary memes, Doge, Pepe, and Yi. It was written 8 years ago. The 21st year belongs to the Doge, the 23rd year belongs to Pepe, and the 25th year belongs to Yi. It's very interesting. Doge pumped the most in 21st. Pepe pumped the most from the depths of the bear market, the 23rd, I mean in terms of the percentage of the pump. 25th year belongs to Yi. The time interval between each year is exactly 2 years. The Yi meme coin comes from a 2000 film, Dinosaur Adventure, predating Pepe the Frog, created in 2005 for Boys Club. So Yi is actually earlier. Very interesting. Yi was launched 10 days after the big Pepe, but the narrative on itself was written 8 years ago when a video drop mentioned Yi, Doge, and Pepe before Pepe and Doge went to 10 billion and 90 billion. OG nice history. This is something I also wanted to share. It's a person from a Chinese community, 12,000 followers on X at this stage, and post actually getting some nice views. Obviously, I don't know Chinese, but it's interesting that there were definitely a lot of Chinese whales supporting Pepe initially as well. And this is exactly something that is happening. They're buying Yi, they're talking about Yi, they're pushing Yi in that part of the planet as well. Most mentioned ticker, this is something I showed you already. The second post of the Chinese Yi community member. He will surprise a lot of people. Yi Army. Studied the law of attraction by James Wynn. And Gunrich also has 18,000 followers out there. So in terms of the overall overview, in terms of the coin, that's probably pretty much it. I just wanted to share the updated thesis. And now I want to come to the fact of why I think it's pretty great hedge against World War III out there. First of all, because obviously, if you think about something as a great hedge, when it just at the bottoms, when not a lot of people know about it, it should not be obvious. People should not be entering like crazy, oh, like gold is a hedge. Go buy some fucking gold. People who are making money on gold are the ones who are buying it like 2, 3, 4 years back, right? So the same situation is with Yi here as well, but obviously I think that the time frame until it truly pumps will be slightly lower from that point of view. But something I wanted to explain of why I do think it actually the hedge against World War III. It's not necessarily about the World War III, it's just about the fair valuation of the coin, right? So you have here different values of coins available, right? And here you have time. So you have value and you have time, right? I do believe that the value of this narrative should actually follow the situation that happened in the previous cycle. Main meme coin of the previous cycle was Dogecoin, with Shiba Inu was being the main rival, which eventually received $80 billion in the valuation. Therefore, if we put Pepe here at $5 billion valuation, I would dare to say that Yi actually should be at 1/2 of Pepe valuation out there. And this should be something. This should be the fair valuation for this meme because it follows the same narrative, because it essentially pre-meta. Even the oldest Pepe betas out there, even the Bobo, for example. Bobo is something that was created after Pepe. It's still like from 4chan, but it was tied up to Pepe slightly artificially, I would say. This thing is pretty crazy because there is a video on YouTube from 8 years ago where Yi is actually a Pepe rival out there. This is like top level meme coin narrative analysis. And some of you might essentially laugh from these things about that. But I would actually say that in some decades from now, people who are able to read meme coin narratives and properly assess meme coin narratives, they would be equal to people who are accessing fine art. 100%. Kind of happened last cycle with NFTs already, right? Meme coins, I just do believe they would have much more longevity out there, because it's just the ultimate casino that is available anywhere in any pieces of the world. So I would say that the fair valuation for Yi is actually $2.5 billion, which is only 2 times lower than Pepe at this stage. And that's why you may think like, what would be the asset that people would try to hide from war? Or obviously war news and war situation will end at a certain point of time. And I'm working in different businesses. I have my main company. I'm talking to different businesses, right? And it's almost like before this Iran and Iraq thing started, companies, they started to be more positive. We finally started to see rails working again. We finally started to see that like companies, they're looking to expand, they're looking to invest, they're looking to hire, things like that. If you're working in any type of Web2 space, any type of default business, you've probably seen that as well, right? And with this war, it's like they just halted. So we were very, very close to signing with certain entities out there, right? And with this news, the whole thing just like stopped for a bit. And these are the type of news that we essentially got from a range of companies who are working in the same niche, in the same area as well. So it's a very, very interesting setup, but it's like the chart is trying to break out and they're creating artificial resistances out there, but it wants to go uptrend. Global liquidity is there. It's like insane because it's a hedge against war because of the reason that the fair valuation is way bigger. And it's also a very, very good coin in case we are becoming bullish, because the whole market is just a beach ball underwater out there. And like from me seeing the situations in different companies, from me seeing the global liquidity cycle, guys, crypto, the stuff where we are in, it's like it's just a shitcoin in terms of the global liquidity out there, in terms of all the things that happen, business operations, things like just a shitcoin that just pumps with everything just because so much liquidity is actually being added into the space. I would say we are actually at the edge of adding more liquidity into the whole thing. I also don't think we are at the bottom of liquidity cycle at this stage. I do know that wars, they usually start at the absolute bottoms of the bear markets. That's why I'm saying, like, this war, just for liquidity cycle, should not be a lone war out there. I think that this news, they would be over quite soon. I do believe that people are overreacting at this stage, and I do believe you have to be smart, you have to be buying a hedge, and you have to be buying the asset that will be pumping like crazy in the bull market. Just because of this setup between liquidity and the market cap, it actually has. Remember Russia-Ukraine war? It actually started at the peak of bottom of the bear market. Bitcoin was at like, I think $19,000. They needed to liquidate people and they started the Russia-Ukraine war and they dropped it to like 16 or something, right? Right after, pump like crazy. Current situation, it's insane. Like, people are outlining these things on the BTC chart, that like the second type of structure that happened in the previous cycle, and right now we're essentially printing the second shoulder, and that's why we're essentially going lower, like here, here, and here, right? And we are going lower because it's the same as the previous cycle, like here, here, and we are here, and we are going lower. I'm not buying that. I do believe that something is happening currently. It's just a period of consolidation, but see how perfectly they're essentially doing this thing. See how scared everyone is. I do believe you might be going to 96K, don't get me wrong, but after that, there should be a huge expansion. And I do believe buying an asset that works as a hedge, and I just explained why it's a hedge, should be a pretty genius fucking thing. Do you know what they were calling me when I was buying holding Boba at $2 million in market cap? They were calling me a fucking clown. They were saying, I will lose all my money. Do you know what they were saying when I had $1.5 million in Boba at the top? Nothing. They were saying absolutely fucking nothing. Act while others are scared. Sell while others are euphoric. Thank you very much for watching this one. Stay healthy and rich. I shall be seeing you in some days from now. Bye-bye.